Ready to go?
And just
Okay.
a second.
Okay.
Hey, you are live.
Let's go. I want to call to order the January 25th, 2024 meeting of the Affordable Housing and Community Equity Development Commission. And I'll call the roll. Patrick Sheridan. Carrie Bond.
Here.
Rich Halverson.
Here.
Karen Britton.
Here.
And Elijah is not here yet. But we do have a quorum. So the first order of business is, after the roll call, is the approval of the September and November meeting minutes. We didn't have a meeting in October, and we did not have a meeting in December. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from September and November?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I
Is there a
second.
second?
I second it.
All those approving of the meeting minutes, say aye.
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 All opposed? Meeting minutes have been approved for the months of September and November. Okay, the next item of business is new business. I want to do a quick reversal of order of the three items that are under new business. So I want to do this, move the commission goal setting for 2024 to the third item, or to C, and move everything up. So that the first, so I move that we change the order of the new business. Is there a motion to approve that change?
I so move.
And a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Having been approved, we will now start with the new business. And the first item of business is the CDBG overview. Teresa.
Yay.
Yay.
So as you know, we received 11 CDBG applications. I sent them to you. So they're in Google Drive. I don't know, has anybody started reading them yet?
I've started.
So anyway, interesting. We have total of 12 projects, including our administration. The total requests are $481,000. We don't expect to get any more than our $306,000. So not everybody's going to get all that they want, particularly the public service projects, which requested $210,000, and we only have $46,000 because of that 15% statutory requirement. So a couple folks that usually apply didn't. We didn't get an application from Arundel Lodge. They will apply next year. They had some issues with having staff to do the project. So we have 3 capital projects: Homes for America, Partners in Care, and the Housing Authority. And then the public service ones, Partners in Care is a new one. And under the public service, we have the Annapolis and Anne Arundel County Scholarship Trust and Charting Careers, which are new. So
yeah, those look interesting. I haven't read them completely yet, but I did notice that those were new.
yeah, I have to read them all over again because I read them when they came in and now I can't remember. I have to start all over. But I did do the completeness review, and this year was the first time that everybody submitted everything. I didn't have to call anybody. I didn't have to send any emails. All the applications were complete. So that was great. And I completed, there's a threshold review that I have to do with HUD to make sure that they meet all the national objectives and their activities are eligible. So everybody came through that. So,
Great.
so basically what we will do is I have drafted a draft budget with my recommendations that I had to send to the finance department since they're doing the budget right now. These are all subject to change based on our discussion. What I'd like to do is in February, call them in like we did the last time and have them present their projects. And then in March, we'll go through them to see if we all agree, if we want to make any changes to the amounts or whatever. And then that'll go in the action plan. The action plan, we will have to have a public hearing at our April meeting. And the action plan is due to HUD on May 15th. So I will probably stay until
that's committed.
then to get all that done. And leave it, instead of leaving at the end of April, I'll leave at the end of May. So that's it with CDBG. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Teresa, you mentioned of the total amount, only 15% could go toward
Public
kind of
service.
programs versus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a statutory
Statutory
requirement.
requirement.
yeah,
So
That's because there is a community services block grant.
right.
Still,
so
as
my,
many times as there have been attempts to kill it, it continues to live.
Yeah,
so Teresa, how does this amount, the total requested, compare to last year's?
I think it's less
Wow. Okay.
because
Interesting.
there's a couple that didn't apply that you.
Yeah, but there's some new ones that applied, and so I'm just wondering if some people asked for larger, amounts or something. I'm just.
I did, let's see, who did ask for a larger amount? Well, the Community Action Agency asked for a larger amount. I mean, everybody asked for a larger amount.
And they all know that we have such a limited amount of money. I don't know.
They don't read the directions.
Some of them have been doing this long enough that they should get it, I think. When they get.
Because I had to call a couple up and say, okay, you asked for $50,000. Do you realize that we only have 46 to spread across the whole city? So is your project really going to be, if I only give you, a couple $1,000, is your project going to be, viable?
Yeah.
So,
Well, just looking at it too, if I were strategizing, because I did read through at least all the summaries on all of them, but someone like the Lighthouse that's asking for case management money would have been better off asking for capital dollars to fix the building after the fire.
well, they couldn't because.
The fire, I don't think it happened then, but yeah.
Well, the other thing too is you have to do an environmental review on all of these before you can do anything. So if they're fixing it now, it's pre-incurred costs and no environmental, so it wouldn't be
Right.
So that wouldn't be eligible anyway. So any other?
And they
And most of it's probably covered by insurance, isn't it?
My
And
guess.
Patrick, I just want to say that they could have applied for both. Haven't we had organizations in the past apply for capital monies because there's large amounts of capital monies and the service as well, or not?
But only if they need it. They don't really.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, because they usually apply for caseworker money. Isn't that kind of my memory has been doing it for
I
years.
think that's what
It's
they've
hard
been
to get
doing.
it's hard to get operating money. It's easier
Right.
to get capital money, but they participate, they get ESG money. We don't have ESG money, but they get ESG money through the county for capital, so they don't really need to get it from us. Now that they did get capital money to build the bistro. But anyway, any other questions about block grant?
So our February meeting will be devoted to the CDBG. sort of like a public hearing.
Presentations, right,
Presentations.
right.
All right.
And then the March meeting will be discussion.
Okay.
And then we're gonna be setting aside money in administration because we have to start our 5-year consolidated plan,
Aha.
doing that again, so I'm putting in a request for proposals, hopefully to have a contractor on board by September. To have a contract by September. And hire a consultant to do the plan. So,
And what about the plans for you going forward? Is the city thinking about that? About who's going to manage all of this?
I think they, I don't think there's gonna be a problem. They'll just hire people.
Okay.
I mean, theoretically, if you're in the state retirement system, you can't negotiate a return. It's illegal,
Oh, okay.
but you can go back after being away for 45 days as a part-time employee. You can't negotiate any kind of contract.
Right. No, I didn't mean that, but I'm, I hope that they are. I mean, they know you're going to retire.
Everybody knows I'm going.
Okay. All right.
I'm going, though. It's been my experience that, they'll do fine. Nobody's, when I left the state, after 17 years there at DHCD, it was the same thing. Oh, and they, I'm sure there's a lot of good folks around that, in the community development world that would.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
In this, so. Anywho, the next, that's it for CD.
Item is the MPDU demographics. Is Denise going to do that?
Well, I
Or-
don't know. Did you want to do it, Denise? I've added everybody up and went in and did a little adjustment to the thing, so, it's up to you.
I didn't look at what
Okay.
you updated, so
Okay.
I
All
would prefer you to do it. Sorry, I wasn't prepared, ladies.
That's okay. So, in looking at the demographics of the MPDU program, all 19 houses were sold. Denise did an excellent job in processing all the applications and making sure folks had all their stuff and, helping them through the whole thing. And so I think by the end of December, they were all.
They were all committed, but the last sale, I think, happened in January.
Okay.
That was Miss Hatcher, but they were all gone.
Right. So,
Fantastic.
yeah. As far as the demographic breakdown, on race, there were 12 white families or individuals, one of which is Hispanic. We had 5 Black families and 2 other. So diversity, we finally got diversity in this program.
That's
So I was
great.
very pleased.
Also, Teresa,
Mhm.
the disabled households.
I was going to get to that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So, of that group under race, under eligibility criteria, 3 families, three individuals were disabled. 10 were city residents, 2 were Naval Academy, and 4 were city employees. 6 used the MPDU settlement expense money. The incomes ranged from $16,000 to $107,000. Average income was around 55, 60. And household size, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9,
Most of them were single.
13 of them were single.
Yeah.
13 of the 19 were single. There was one family that had 5 people. There were 2 families that had 2 people and one family that had 3 people. So it was a majority single.
Mhm.
And are all the units, they're not all in Park side or Park, oh, they are all there, okay.
Yeah.
Right, they're all in that one subdivision, okay, good.
So are there any other demographics that you think we should look at? Denise is going to go back and I think she's going to put profession.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
started to put the professions of the people in just out of curiosity. You know, it'd be nice to see teachers or, you know, if they're police.
Yeah, right,
Because I know 2 of them were teachers.
Yeah.
For teachers. I know at least 2 are teachers, Dana Ryan and somebody else. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but-
you don't need to do the names on here.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So those are the demographics for the MPDU program. I'm not sure what's happening next in terms of more MPDUs. If the project at the Eastport Shopping Center ever comes to fruition, there'll be 7 rental MPDUs there. And if the Athens Annapolis ever happens, there'll be 6 MPDUs there. That's pretty much it. So. Any
Anybody
questions?
anybody have any questions for Teresa? It's pretty good though, it's very good actually, that
Yeah,
it all
no,
that way, yeah.
yeah. So we're pretty happy with it was a little crazy. I got to give Denise a lot of credit for having patience with having to deal with some of the real estate agents and, you know, because it went on the multiple list and that got a little crazy, but all in all, you know, it's done. And we're
And we
happy.
have a significant list for any upcoming units for both rental and home ownership. So though there was a lot that just didn't get in the applications in on time, so we keep them on the list for the next group of units. And so we have a list already for the next set of units, but you just have to kind of like hope that they'll come back and renew if the units aren't ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I
And-
ask a question that's not it's not exactly on this topic, but a lot of folks are asking me about the new housing that's going in parole. Do we know if there's any affordable housing units required by the county in there?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Their MPDU legislation didn't pass.
Yeah, but I was figuring if there are any kinds of subsidies, any public monies, any things that went in, they may have put that requirement in there. I just didn't know.
Yeah, that would be a question for Aaron Karpowitz, which I
Not
can
only-
ask.
If there's tax credits in there, Terry, they're required to accept vouchers if you
Yeah, I
get.
don't know if they have.
Yeah, I don't think those any
I
of
don't
the
think they have
projects
any
are
tax
they're
credit.
all market rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It
I just.
doesn't look like a tax credit project.
No, I
No,
know, it's not, yeah. I just was, people had asked me and I don't know the answer, so.
Any other MPDU questions?
No,
Okie dokie. Well, it's all yours, Nancy.
okey doke. So the last item on our new business is trying to scope out what we are going to try to do next year. Many of these items, and I sent you earlier today, everybody, the annual report that we submitted. I guess it went to the city, right? Is that right, Teresa?
That goes to the city council.
Yeah, to the city, and and these were all listed there. Some of those things we were going to be working on last year, but we spent most of our time working on, as you well know, the workforce housing legislation. And then we did some work on the Willows in terms of our support for it. And we didn't really get to
They're closing in March.
They're closing in March?
Yep.
Wow, okay.
Sorry to interrupt, but
No, that's great. That's great. So we didn't get to very many of these new ideas, so now we're gonna look at it again and see what we want to concentrate on. And so I sent you that list, so we would have it all
did you send
in
it to
front
me?
of us. Pardon me?
Did you send it to me?
It was the annual report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I just sent it to the commission members because I knew you had it.
yeah, I just,
They had it too, but I didn't want them to have to go look for it
right. I just need to
2
figure
weeks
out
ago.
how
Yeah,
to look at it,
yeah.
to go back and find it. So, okay.
You sent it out on January 12th or 15th, one of the two.
Okay, I'll find it. Oops.
Okay. So the first one, well, why don't we, I'm not going to take them in order. I think the first thing we need to talk about is what we want to do, if anything, and I hope we say something, with the workforce housing legislation. So we left it on bad terms, I would say, with a bad taste in our mouth.
And we don't have Jackie anymore.
And we don't have Jackie anymore, right? So, the question is, do we think the city was serious when they said, oh, as soon as the comp plan comes out, we can look at the workforce housing legislation again with the comp plan in mind? Now comp plan, is it out? It's all out. Okay. So
Yeah.
was it like October or something like that? So the question is there anything that we have to do differently with our workforce housing legislation to make it work with the comp plan? Or does the comp plan, I think the comp plan has been written to accommodate workforce housing.
I wonder if, because I guess my answer would be, of course we want to. We spent all that work on it.
Yes, we did.
Good faith would be that, okay, the comp plan's done, the comp plan, supports it. But I think we need to reach out to the alder people and ask them to talk to us about changes they would like to see or issues they have,
Right.
so that we can proceed. So we just, I think we should, and see what's out there.
Yeah. And I had thought of a lot of things that we could do to the existing, like to the legislation that had been proposed. Little changes here and there that I think would make it more appealing to the aldermen.
Don't forget,
Teresa?
don't forget the legislation that they looked at was the very first,
Right.
draft.
Right.
Right.
not
Right.
the final stuff that we finally did.
So that
Right.
gets me thinking maybe we need to spend some time updating it, making it the best possible. Who we
Right.
work with, there was all that issue with the Office of Law and stuff. I'm not quite sure how we work that. Maybe we could get some folks to tell us how they want us to work with them, so we don't run into the same problems we did last time.
Well, if you
Right.
decide you want to tackle this, I'll ask the planning director.
Okay. That sounds
I
good.
think we do. Doesn't everyone else? Pat, I guess we want to go back at it. I think we should go back at it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we put in a lot of work on it last year, and as I said, I know I had some ideas. I have to think about some of the limitations that we want to put into it, so that
So-
it's more appealing to the aldermen.
So which version of it are you going to tackle? The
Well,
the
what we would
final
like to
version?
do is tackle the one that came out of the housing and whatever human welfare committee.
That's the final one.
That was the final one. I
Okay.
think we want to take a look at that again and see what we need to add to it.
So were the changes that were recommended actually ever put in any, drafted legislation? I think.
Yeah,
What were they? Okay, good.
yeah, Jackie updated all of it.
Okay, great.
Okay. Could you, Teresa, send it to us again so
Yeah,
that
I'll see
we,
if I can find it.
okay. All right, you have a better chance of finding it than I do, I can assure you. So we'll see where we are, and that'll be the first thing that we'll start tackling. Okay. Okay, that's that one. Now, I know this is a pet issue for you, Teresa. Would you like us to do it to help with your legacy?
What is that?
Examining the zoning code with respect to the impediments to fair housing. That's one of the things that we said we were going to do, and a lot of it was at your behest, I think. It's something that you think the city needs to do, and I think I agree with you.
Well, we're having to do a new AI, analysis. Every time
Okay,
we do a consolidated plan, we have to do a new analysis.
okay,
And,
And-
so, BMC is hiring a consultant. They're putting out an RFP for a consultant to do an analysis, a new one. I don't see that what we suggested has changed. Because basically one of the impediments was the zoning code.
yeah,
So you could take a look at that part of it, since it relates to affordable housing. And take a look at that one. The other ones are, I've got to go back. I don't have them in front of me right now. I wish and I can't get to them because I'm not on the right platform. I'm not in, I have to be on Amazon Spaces. And I
whatever that,
can't get in there if I'm on this, so.
okay,
Anyway, there were, I'll go look at them and take a look and see what I can recommend. Because I remember one of them had to do with doing a brochure with the Housing Authority on how to report Section 8 discrimination based on source of income. And we never, and then I thought this other group was going to do it from BMC, and then they never did it. And so I want to go back and look and see if that's something that we want to do. The other one was working with banks to get more approvals for loans for people, for minorities that wanted to buy housing. Although we didn't do that directly in our MPDU process, we made connections with a number of banks that wanted to work with us. So we sort of kind of got there inadvertently. So that was one of them. I can't remember the other ones, but I'll take a look.
these are the impediments that the city has already started to address.
They haven't started to address any of them.
Oh, okay.
They were in the last two analysis of impediments, and they didn't address
Okay,
any of them.
all right.
So, and that's mostly the zoning code. We still have a definition of family. That's obsolete. You have to be
Right,
related by blood.
Blood,
trying to get
blood
rid of,
marriage or operation of law. Yeah.
there's a whole litany of things, that. So
The other thing you mentioned was having a system put in place for approving tax credit projects, because
pilots.
pilots, that's it, pilots, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah.
that's something that's not on our list here. Okay.
And that was high on your list, wasn't it, Teresa?
That was on the list of impediments. That
Oh.
was the list of, not the impediments, but on the list of what we can do.
Things that need to be done, that the city needs to have a system for approving pilots.
Now, the legislation
standard.
that I was telling you about, there's some of the state legislation has something in there. Well, it has, there's a bill that requires affirmatively furthering fair housing in the comp plan. So,
Interesting.
yeah. I don't know if that'll pass. And then there's another one that relates to pilots. It's something that's similar to the Horizon Tax Credit program. But you could do that in lieu of a pilot for affordable housing. So there's stuff in the current state legislation that relates to that. So if you guys want to take a look at that, I'm trying my best to come up with some sort of system, in-house system, just how the paper moves. I mean, but the committee might want to look at what kind of a pilot do we give?
Yeah.
Like how much should we give?
What are the standards for giving pilots is really what we're talking about.
Right.
Are there any standards? And there aren't now because each one's a separate deal. And they're all still going to be separate deals, but there ought to be some standard thought about how you approach a pilot.
Right. And the only standard that we ever had was that we wouldn't give pilots to Section 8 Section 8 because they don't need a pilot. They're getting fair market rents. Whereas tax credit projects don't get, so we typically, and neither does county. County doesn't typically give.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a policy. But now we've got a group that's asking about the possibility, even though they're project-based Section 8, because all the costs have gone up so high for like insurance and utility, a lot of things have gone up. So, they're asking us, the county and us, for a pilot, and I'm working with the county and they're working with the developer to see if they would want to do that, even though it's project-based Section 8. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the fair market rents are not always fair or market.
Right. And I did an analysis a while back about who does pilots in the who has pilot legislation. And I can give that to you. Like some say specifically the amount they're gonna give in their legislation, and I don't know if we want to go there or not. So, that's another thing.
It'd be helpful to, if we decide we want to tackle this, we certainly should see who actually does do pilot agreements by legislation.
Right, and I did, like I said,
yeah, spreadsheet or something.
Now it's kind of old, but it can be updated.
Right.
Maybe Denise can help me with that.
I just know that my experience with pilot taxes was mainly Baltimore City, and Baltimore City, under their pilots, they charged them taxes based on their net, their
net operating income.
Their net operating, because they were allowed to take expenses, but that's been a while. But that's my familiarity with the pilots. In Baltimore City, gave it to affordable housing. They gave the pilots to affordable housing as well. And
the city's been the only pilot, the city's given pilots to pretty much all of the tax credit projects that have come through. So we've given, the only ones that they turned down was extending the pilot for Homes for America for Homes at the Glen. They wouldn't extend their pilot, which is another thing I think we need to look at is why, why not?
Especially if they haven't sold the houses.
Yeah, so,
I agree with you that potentially 100% project-based Section 8 project doesn't need a pilot if they've got, supported rents. But, there's so many projects with mixed financing now that have got basically unsubsidized tax credit units and maybe some project-based vouchers and, tenant-based vouchers and other things along those lines that they really do need the pilots.
right,
Yep.
yeah, that's
and
why we're looking at it.
Yeah, and I think Denise is right, which I like the concept of, if they got more money, they could afford to pay more for property taxes. But on the other side, it makes it more complicated program to run because you got to look at their operating statements every year to decide how much to
Yep.
charge them.
Yeah.
So
that's
be
exactly
careful what you
have
ask
to do.
for.
Right, and we don't have the capability in the city to do that.
To analyze it.
No, in fact, what we did with,
It's
town-
really not
town,
I'm sorry. Lisa.
What
It's
we do
really
with
not
town-
an analysis. You send in your audits and the numbers are there and the city just builds them off of those numbers.
well, the city didn't have the capability to figure out what the numbers were. So what we did was we hired ACDS
Yes.
to run the numbers for us. And that's what we did with town courts. And that's what we did with the Willows. So we just have to figure out a way to do that. But they do actually, ACDS does a really good job of doing the analysis. We just don't have staff that have that capability because they don't have the knowledge. Yeah, I've seen those spreadsheets there.
Yeah, they can be mind-boggling.
Yeah, I remember when I was in grad school, we used to have to do, this was before the tax credit program. This was when they used to do that accelerated depreciation, and we had to do pro formas for affordable housing in my real estate development class. I was like, yikes. It was pretty complicated, so. But that's something that,
But it's still, it's an important concept, even though we only have at most one project a year that we might be considering.
and I'm
that-
even going forward without any land left, hardly.
Right.
How many more? I mean, we still have that Admiral Drive conifer thing. I don't know what's happened with that. I don't know where they are with that project. I haven't heard anything. So that would be the next
That'd be the next one to do. Yeah.
that, and maybe Bates, when they, they're getting kind of, it's over 15 years old. My guess is they're gonna think about, some rehab over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably do a resyndication of tax credits and just do a rehab. That they're gonna do that at one of the other projects there. The one that was at Admiral Oaks or something where they had all those complaints.
Woodside Gardens.
No, not Woodside.
Oh,
Gardens, the
okay.
one where
I know they did that. I know they got tax credits for Woodside.
right, yeah. And so the one which one is it? At the one over there off of Admiral Drive.
That's Admiral Oaks, yeah.
Okay, so that one, because of the issues that they had over there, that was one of the questions that the council, that was one of the questions on Duane's list or the council's list for them. And what they revealed at the meeting is that they will be doing the resyndication and
Oh, okay.
rehab. I thought.
And they have a pilot, and they have a pilot with the city. And I don't know how long it goes or whether they've how.
Yeah, so
back
they
and look.
plan on doing it. They said it expired in 2020. I thought it was 2023, and they said 2024 or 24
Okay.
and 25. So they plan on doing a rehab over there after their tax credit compliance period ends. It's always on an extended, but they allow them to refi it after the 15-year compliance
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so now we have 3 items that we're gonna look at.
Okay,
One of the items that we also have here is examining the city's the adequate public facilities requirements.
I think that's no.
A loser?
Yeah, I think that's a loser. Too many people, too many city government people and departments involved. That I
I
don't,
can't get a straight answer out of anybody
Yeah,
in terms of,
yeah.
yeah.
that's definitely a loser.
Well, then we'll take that off our list.
Okay. I mean, unless you want to go ahead and do it, but
But I think we should strongly recommend that the city do it.
do
I
what?
mean, update the adequate public facilities or requirements because they're crazy.
I think they're talking about them all the time.
I know they are talking about it.
It's
We're
like-
talking about them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and they keep changing stuff and,
Alright.
so I think they know that.
Well, I know that, but I mean, but I guess it doesn't hurt to say it needs to be done. I mean, I don't know. It would just be silent and ignore it, or
Well, the committee's welcome to do that. I don't know how you would go about doing that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whom you tell.
Yeah.
well, never mind. Never mind.
No, I'm just, I'm just trying to figure out how to get the committee to be able to communicate with the city council.
Right.
I mean. So,
Let's put the adequate public facilities requirements to the side right now and see if there's other ones that we want to concentrate on.
and it's so complicated and you really would need, it's a lot of staff time. But yeah, put it toward the bottom there.
Okay. All right. The other, one of the other items on this list is Spa Road.
We're moving along with Spa Road.
You are moving along with
We
Spa
got
Road.
phase 1's done.
Yeah.
So there's 2 things that have to be remediated. So now they're looking to see how to go about getting the grant funding to do that. So Spa Road's moving along
And moving along to do what?
to at least get rid of the contamination because
Okay, so the remediation is
Yeah,
moving along, but
yeah.
what about thoughts of how you redevelop it?
Oh, there's thoughts.
Yeah.
There's thoughts, but if you guys want to make a recommendation, that's good.
What are the thoughts?
All the
Do you-
different thought, every single, I think, alder person has a different thought.
well, maybe
see.
we should be involved in the discussion at some point.
Right.
How do you
Right.
get there? How do you get involved in their discussion? The only way you can get involved is if they present some sort of legislation to make a decision about it. At that point, you can get involved.
Well, again, what we have formal memos, we can say that we're interested in,
Yeah.
but that is our mission. I mean, it's
Right.
like, if that goes, we should have, we have a lot of people with a lot of expertise on this commission. They should be
Yeah.
using it.
Right, but it's up to you guys to decide what format you do it and how you get that information to the city council. So if you want to go ahead,
Okay,
Yeah.
so they have committees doing work, correct?
Correct.
This would be under what committee? Or maybe 2 committees? Anyway, we can talk about this. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I
we'll
don't-
talk about that
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
in terms of after we go through this list, which is we're almost there, we'll talk about how and if we want to present this to anybody on the council. Sort of identify what our plans are for 2024 and how we can be involved with the council. Like the last item on this is gathering ideas and suggestions for new legislation or new programs that we might work with the council on. The question is, who on the council is going to do anything, or what are they going to do?
well, first,
You
I
have
think you
an
could
idea.
start off with the Housing and Human Welfare Committee.
Right. Right. So maybe the first thing we want to do is, since we have these items, that we can draft as a committee, as a commission, we can draft a letter to Dewan as chairman of the Housing and Human, whatever it's called, Housing and Human Welfare, is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Committee. And tell him these are some of the ideas that we intend as a commission to work on, and we would like to work with their commission, with his committee on ideas that they may have for the upcoming year for the city.
Mhm.
That would sort of be, I think that might be the next step for us. There is one more item on here, which is researching ways to incentivize developers, including for giving up to $6,500 in capital connection installation and other charges. I would say that that's actually part of the workforce housing legislation. And maybe we just consider it in terms, since that's where the idea is included there. I don't think we need to do it in any other way. Because it's in there.
I agree.
So we sort of did accomplish one thing on our list, or two things on our list. We did do workforce housing, it's just that it was ignored. Okay, all right. So it would seem to me that maybe I could take a crack at, in the next few weeks, putting together something that then I'll give to everybody about these ideas in a letter to Dewan about the things we want to tackle and how we want to work with them together. See if I can get out of my retirement mode and
I can't
do
wait to
that.
get into my retirement.
As you get into your retirement mode, I will get out of mine for a few brief shining moments. Put together something, and then we can work from there, maybe talk about it at our February meeting. If that makes any sense. Does that make sense to folks?
Yeah, it does.
Because I think these ideas are all good. So we're getting rid of the city's re-examining the adequate public facilities and letting the council do what they need to do with that. Pilot. We'll do something about, we want to look at the zoning code with respect to fair housing. Spa Road. The big one is still revisions to the workforce housing legislation and getting Dewan to reintroduce that legislation. Need to think about the incentivizing developers with the forgiveness of connection fees, etc. And then sort of as an overarching umbrella, it's working with the council to develop new ideas for affordable housing in the city and what ideas they may have to look at in the future. We also are still, I guess we're still working on the rental rehab program.
Well,
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that.
Yeah, did they have their meeting? Did they have their meeting?
They haven't had their meeting because it was during the bad weather and it kept getting.
Right. Okay, and it
Yeah,
hasn't been.
twice canceled.
Okay.
My guess is that maybe they will go ahead and do it at their January meeting. Now, let's see. Let me look at the calendar. They're the third one, two, yeah, no. They're the third Monday, so we're past that. So their next meeting would be the third Monday in February. That would be the 19th of February would be their next meeting.
Okay. I assume they'll take up the rental rehab program. I can't go because I'll be in Jamaica.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll be in Jamaica.
Good for you. I'll be
What's
there.
the date?
Pardon me?
What was the date?
The 19th of February.
Yeah.
I leave the 17th for a week. I haven't done this in a long, long time, but a friend of mine.
You won't be here for the next meeting either then.
Right.
February.
That's right. I'll be back the 24th.
February meeting would be the 22nd.
Oh. Okay,
So we changed it to the 29th.
we did change it, didn't we? Or we were going to.
Yeah, but I can do that.
Yeah, because I would like to be there for the presentation of the
Okay,
CDBG program.
so we'll ask Mark to see if we can have the 29th.
Oh, there is a 29th.
That's right, this is leap year.
Sleep year, yeah. Although it could be an extremely bad day for me because I have surgery the next day.
Ooh,
29th is available.
It is, but you don't need me for that.
for the presentation of all of the CDBG
Um,
folks.
I mean, all I do is call their names. I mean,
Well, that's true.
and I can watch it. Well, let's see. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Or we could,
We could go ahead. We could go ahead and just do the CDBG stuff on the 22nd. And
but I would like to be there for that.
oh, okay,
How about the 15th?
15th of February.
Yeah,
We'll ask Mark.
That's not available.
that's not available. Okay. Um. Hmm.
Well, let's go ahead with the 29th. Let's go ahead and change it to the 29th. It's more important that you be there than me because you're the chair of the committee. I'm just staff.
That's true. Your staff and Denise, your
So,
staff. Denise, will you be there?
help out. Denise can, I can brief Denise.
I can help you in whatever way you need my help.
Okay. Okay.
So,
All right.
I don't want to say what I'm doing because then it will be on TV.
right.
Excuse me for fading out, but
Denise, you don't have to share. You don't have to share everything. It's okay.
thank you.
So, okay, well, Mark, if you could take care of the switching them to the 29th.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So I think that are there any other agenda items for next year that we want to talk about, or do you think we have them covered?
Oh,
I think there's plenty of stuff. Whether or not we'll be able to achieve them, I don't know. But I think our
very
the
busy.
first thing we
agenda.
want to do, the first thing we want to do is reinvigorate the workforce housing. I think that's the first thing should be our first item to see what we need to do that. Okay, and as I said, in the next couple of weeks, I will try to put together something that talks about the various items we are going to do, and have a letter for us to send to Dewan to see if we can get him to focus on it.
And let me also ask, should any of us reach out to individual alder persons? Because there was opposition that we didn't really understand a lot last time. And I guess to better understand what people want, what people are thinking, we didn't really get a chance to talk to anybody about the legislation.
Well, well, that's true because we were circumvented by the resolution.
Number of older people signed on to too, so.
Right. I actually think, even though we didn't talk to them, I think we know what they were objecting to. I mean, I mean, the only one who never, although I think you talked to her, was Karma.
The planning staff did.
Yeah. So we should also get together with the planning staff
Of course.
again.
Yeah,
Let's- We
well,
are.
Jackie's gone and I don't know what Tom's doing. He had mentioned that he was gonna retire.
Oh,
So did Jackie get replaced?
Not yet.
Okay, so that would be our,
Can't replace Jackie.
I mean this, we can't
Their
replace
body
you
in
either,
the
Teresa.
position.
I mean the position.
No, they're recruiting her. Yeah, Jackie, I mean, oh, God. 42 years.
wow.
There's a lot of
42 years
knowledge.
in the same job. Woo.
Yep. It's a lot of knowledge gone.
Yeah. Yep.
And we dearly miss her.
Is she have you talked to her?
Yep, she's chugging along.
Good.
So
Good. Okay. Are there any other ideas that we need to talk about here tonight? Or shall we leave it as it is and then see where we go from here? Any other ideas? Any other new business to attend to? Not on our list.
well, there's one thing I can bring up is I'm gonna try to we have a housing rehabilitation program. We've had it, oh, I don't know how many years, as long as we've had CDBG. And it's getting really, really difficult to fund it now because we're getting less and less, we get less money from HUD. And the cost to fix things up now is
Skyrocket.
skyrocketed. And so I'm going to propose that the city council start to fund it with general funds. So,
I think that's an excellent idea.
because there's no block grant hardly enough,
Right.
there's no, all the projects that we got, I mean, we got two of those, that's really important to keep, Homes at the Glen up. That's over 15 years old now, so that needs, and it's really important to keep that up. And it's really important to participate with the housing authority and the CNI stuff, so that doesn't leave any money for CDB, for rehab. So anyway, so that's just you'll be hearing more about that. And at some point, we might need the committee's support.
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
Has there been is there any more action or thoughts about the rental rehab, or are we just gonna wait for the?
We're waiting for the committee.
Okay, all right. Seemed to me if they could come up with $500,000 for rental rehab, maybe we could figure out a way to get a similar amount for single family.
Yep.
So,
I think that the single family helps to keep people that live in the community.
I think that's right.
And with the rental rehab, I just think that people just want the money to make money. And I just so happened to get a phone call from a lady that owned a 6-unit. She heard about the program and I told her that it hadn't been implemented yet. And she said she had a 6-unit building that she wanted to rehab. So that might be good if it's just one building and all the rents are reduced, but I think the single family is more important to the community than the rental rehab. That's just my opinion.
And it also keeps the housing stock updated, because
Right,
that's
exactly.
Keeps
yeah,
the taxes that the city collects up too.
Yeah. a lot of
Yeah.
positives.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely gonna push for owner occupied rehab funding from the city council, so.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Okay. If there's no other business, Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?